Hi, and welcome to today's sales training, where I will discuss 3 important truths I discovered while running outbound lead generation campaigns. In this training, you will discover what works and what doesn't work based on over 100 campaigns I've executed. You will also learn how to drastically improve your sales performance and results by making few simple tweaks in your sales. And also, I will discuss the overall state of the lead generation ecosystem as it stands right now and where I think the industry is heading. Before we jump into these topics, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you receive more training videos like this in the future. Let's start with research I found on HubSpot. Salespeople with 3 to 4 years of selling experience spend 50% more time on training than those with 2 years or less, and 110% more than salespeople with 5 years or more of sales experience. So one of the interpretations of this research is that new salespeople are not sure if they will pursue their career in sales, and that's why they don't develop. And of course, if you don't develop as a new salesperson, it's very unlikely you'll be good. And veteran salespeople who have been selling for a couple of years simply think they know it all, and that's why they don't expand on their knowledge. So keeping this in mind is important, that no matter what stage you are in your sales career, whether you are just starting out or you've been selling for a number of years, it's always important to develop your sales knowledge. That's why I think videos like this are extremely valuable, because you are able to learn for free on mistakes we've done, and also you are able to take home some of the learning lessons we acquired through running over 100 of sales campaigns. So number 1, relevance is better than personalization. Let's start with defining what I mean by these 2 terms. In terms of relevance, that is when your product or service addresses specific pain points, problems, or challenges your customers face. Some other people can also call this context. In terms of personalization, it is simply the research conducted into your prospect. Both of these definitions are its extremes, and of course at some point they will overlap. But let's look at some examples. So let's look at an example of relevance. Let's imagine you are a SaaS invoicing tool, and your strategy is to steal your competitors' unhappy clients. To do this, you review your competitors' feedback on review sites, you scan the complaints and the bad feedback they receive, and then you reach out to that person who complained, or their CEO or someone else in their company, and you specifically address the pain points they are addressing in their complaint. In your sales message, you will explain how your solution solves their pain point better than your competitors, and also how they are able to benefit through using your solution in contrast to using the other solution they're using at the moment. So you are being very relevant to the specific problem they're facing in terms of their business and the current vendor, and you are positioning that in a way where you offer a superior solution. In terms of personalization, let's imagine again you are a SaaS invoicing tool and you are running a sales cadence on LinkedIn. So to do this, you have to gather some information like who they are and what they do and so on. But you do the extra step and you personalize it even further by including some information such as what's the latest blog post they published on their website or on their LinkedIn profile. You mentioned their latest LinkedIn post, and also maybe you wish them happy Monday or something else relevant that is really personalized, and that will signal to them that they are receiving a message that is one-on-one communication, and it is not a simply spray and pray method where you send the same email or the same LinkedIn message to hundreds or thousands of people. One of the learning lessons we found is that being relevant is better than personalizing your message. If you think that personalizing message in the way I just described is better than being relevant, this may be because you have a lot of providers of different marketing tools which allow you to do this advanced personalization. And of course, there is a conflict of interest between the consumer or the user like yourself and the vendor, where they want to simply sign up more users and they will tell you what is important, whereas the reality is that being as personalized is not always that important. That being said, personalization does work. However, I'm trying to make this distinction that if you have limited budget and limited resources, You don't have that much time to do both personalization in a way to really dig deep into that person's background, or to find the person and company which really struggles and where you can add the most value. Always go for relevance, where you can add value to the specific problem. Here is just a quick example to illustrate that personalization works. So I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't personalize your messages. For example, marketers see an average increase of 20% in sales when using personalized experiences. Some brands have recorded 8 times improvement on click-through rates when you're using personalized videos, in contrast to standard campaigns. And also, personalized emails deliver 6 times higher transaction rates. So let's look at the ideal scenario when it comes to outbound sales prospecting or sales leads. Your cold email or your message on LinkedIn or other social media should include both personalization and also relevance. But I think relevance is more important. So if you look at this diagram where the black circle represents the ideal message, relevance should have more importance in that overall ecosystem. Number 2, humor works. When you think about why humor works in sales, it's actually pretty easy to understand, yet not that many people actually do it. Firstly, everyone likes to laugh. Some research says that between 50 to up to 85% of people are unhappy in their work. So if you are able to make them laugh just a little bit with your message, then of course it will improve their day and you become more memorable. It is a pattern interrupt. Not many people send funny message to them, so straight away they'll remember you. And also often when we send funny messages, funny sales messages, they often forward these messages to their colleagues, and we hear from several people in that team where they simply say, you know what, your message was great. We don't receive messages like this on a continuous basis, and we would like to do business with you. Let's schedule that meeting, or let's do the next appropriate step, basically that we suggested in that message. However, it's important to remember that you should be very careful about the type of humor you employ. You have to adjust the message and the humor used based on your audience, and it's important to remember that simply you want to use that kind of dinner table humor instead of being crude or being extremely cute and witty. You want to go for something that's going to be generally accepted in all social circles. So for example, you can use a light joke, you can make some appeals to popular culture, for example, whether that is, you know, the famous show like Friends or Fresh Prince or something like that, where people will simply are able to relate. Or you can also use images and GIFs like this waiting cookie monster in your follow-up. Lastly, what we noticed running cold email campaigns and outbound campaigns for several years, that it is getting harder. It's getting harder to generate attention and also to generate responses using cold email or LinkedIn. One of the reasons why it's getting harder, it's because it is simply easier to implement these advanced lead generation campaigns. There's an increase in automation and different tools that help you to do due diligence or to find the appropriate information. And because the barrier of entry is so low, many people are engaging in lead generation campaigns. And of course, as the barrier of entry decreases, the number of messages will increase, and your prospects simply receive so much noise and often very irrelevant and very bad sales campaigns that they are used to tuning off almost anything they receive. And that's why it's getting harder, and you need to really pay a lot of attention that you are being unique and you stand out. It's possible that slowly email and LinkedIn is becoming sort of the cold calling of our times. For sure, the attention span and the reply rates and open rates tend to indicate that if you are going with more a mainstream average approach to your sales. But if you have a sound strategy and you know what you're doing, for instance, you are being relevant, personalized, you use humor, you follow up correctly, then of course the performance will be still better than of the majority of people who try to do outbound sales. So if we look at the entire ecosystem and how things evolved, firstly, there was no technology available, so people had to send emails by hand, and they had to also personalize everything by hand. They had to go and do the research by themselves using maybe websites before LinkedIn or then using LinkedIn. Then as more and more SaaS providers and SaaS vendors of marketing technology and automation came to place, we were able to use automation and personalization to a high level. Now, I would say we are at a stage 3 where basically we have an abundance of technology. It's sophisticated, it's automated, and it's personalized, but because the barrier is so low, it's often also ignored. So that's why when we run campaigns for our clients, we move into the stage 4, where I think a lot of the businesses are moving now as well, and that is using a manual approach with automation. And what the future holds, I'm not entirely sure, but maybe AI, where we will be able to replace the human element and automation. AI will be able to make all the important decisions in terms of who you want to target, why you want to target them, what kind of information is crucial to make the buying decision, and so on, where we will be able to completely outsource everything to advanced technology. If this is going to be effective or not, I'm not sure, but I would say it may be better than what we experienced in the past, because leaving these important decisions to humans often leads to wrong decision making, and that's why majority of people simply ignore cold emails and cold messages, because they are simply frustrated and annoyed by irrelevant messages which don't help them and that don't create any significant impact on their business. So knowing that things are getting harder, I suggest you should keep doing the following things. Number 1, you should keep updating your knowledge, whether that is through looking at videos like this, reading more books, blogs, articles, keeping on top of relevant industry news, so you simply understand what is going on in the space of sales and internet marketing. Number 2, you should innovate your approach. It's not enough simply to write a short or long email copy and pray for the best. You have to be really unique and innovative in your approach to sales. Number 3, you should always test, and in a couple of days we'll be releasing a video which discusses our testing framework, so make sure you subscribe, see the video as well. And lastly, keep pushing through and don't give up. As I said, it is getting harder, but cold email and outbound lead generation is still one of the most effective ways how to generate leads and how to generate more business for your organization. So even though it seems like it's getting harder, keep at it, because it's getting harder for everyone, not just for you. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button to receive more training like this in the future. And also, if you go to the description box below, there is a link to our sales training called the 20-60-20 framework of copywriting. It is a very simple framework we use to generate between 20 to 40% reply rates on our cold email and LinkedIn campaigns. It is completely free and it's very easy to use and implement. So all you have to do is go to the description box below and hit the first link. It will take you to our page where you can simply add your email address and get it straight away. So as I said, this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you next time.